Boom. Happy
Right,
New
good.
Year, Dome. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
happy lunar New Year's, everybody. Good evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you're at. This is the Hot
Yeah.
Trash Podcast, and today we're gonna be going
You're
into
good to
our
do
inner deep seek.
yeah, inner Deepseek. Yeah. Oh, if anybody else here is shocked too, there's just only two of us. Don't worry about it. If anything, me and Victor here are probably the only two out of the four people here that can honestly talk really in depth about this shit, to be honest.
Yeah, this involves too
A
much
lot of
technical nonsense. A lot of technical nonsense, honestly.
Yeah. But so in this case, we are going to do our best to make sure we break it down to you in bite-sized pieces. By
No
bite-sized
guarantees.
by bite-sized pieces, I'm still shoving a fucking quarter pounder in your mouth.
And I'm
That's
not
considered
giving any
bite-sized.
guarantees.
So, to catch people up on what the fuck is going on too, why did stocks decide to like teeter off to the deep end here and there? Well, outside
Because of
of in
deep
this
seek.
case, yeah. Well, yes, it was because of DeepSeek, but there's also a lot of things that did happen, such as things that are happening within the country, such as more tariffs are going to be enacted, la da da, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but
Besides
that's
the
not
point,
the point.
yeah, tech industry though is having a implosions to say the least.
Well, they had an implosion for like a day, and that was about it.
Yeah, they pretty much it just bounced right back up to other people. We're talking about in this case the rise of, in this case, a small Chinese company called Deepseek, who released their AI model or reasoning AI model. So we're going to go a little bit in depth here too about, because this is obviously going to be following up after like when we last talked about AIs and whatnot too.
How long ago was that? I don't remember the last time we talked about AI.
I'm gonna assume last year. That's a safe bet.
Yeah, that's fair. It's pretty fair.
But what we said last time about it too is that like obviously right now it's still too early to tell whether or not, if like right now with the current state of AI, if it's going to change a lot of stuff. I mean, to be honest, it has transformed a lot of businesses, but I don't think it's transforming in the way that we picture it to be, like an improvement over our way of life kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to AI, everything still feels the same. I don't think
Yeah.
anything feels different.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's intended or not. That's the thing, though. But I don't see anything different if companies have already implemented AI. Everything still feels the same, because the main difference I see is that there's just there's just like 1 million two chatbots now that I don't care about.
Yeah. Or in general too, just things being shoved into like products to say that they have AI when really it had no business of being an AI. Like, for example, a fucking toaster that has built-in AI. What the fuck does that mean? It's like it's
Come
a
on, dude,
smart sensor,
it monitors your temperature and makes sure your toast is perfectly toasted.
like your typical like thermometer sensor.
No, it's AI. But yeah, even like with these AI being implemented everywhere, bro, it's like when I was applying for jobs, a lot of them have like AI chatbots. And I think there was one company that I had to go through a chatbot in order to actually apply, which was really odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's super odd because you have to talk to the bot in order for it to start your application, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever like encountered.
right. And so that's why, like right now, this is the current state with AI. So why is it imploding itself? Because of this small Chinese company. Well, outside the fact that they have came out with a research paper kind of showcasing a couple of things here. One, oh, gotta burp that one out a little bit to suck a little. One, they had in this case a paper that on their most recent like AI testings, which in this case I'm gonna throw air quotes up here for testing because it's all based off of like a bunch of software or AI engineers that have constructed a series of tests so that they can test the general um, effectiveness of like these AIs, if they can answer the questions effectively with like the least amount of errors possible. What
Mm-hmm.
DeepSeek has claimed is that it scored higher than even OpenAI itself with their current model, the O1 Mini, which is the reasoning models that DeepSeek is pretty much comparing against.
So it's
Now,
their testing, right? So it's them just giving out the results then.
yeah, that's pretty much that. All we have about this academic research papers is that they showed them the results for it and how they achieved said result by showcasing them that they also spent less in computing power for like to demonstrate this much amount. However, a lot of cases may be, a lot of people are saying too, is like, oh wait, they made this AI product at such a cheaper and effect or much more cheaper rate and more efficient. Why are we spending billions of dollars on this? Especially right now, there's a $500 billion contract for OpenAI to build up the data center infrastructure for Stargate.
Well, it's not just OpenAI; it's just AI
Like a
companies in general.
yeah,
However, it doesn't matter. It's still 500 billion. Of course, when you hear that Deepseek only spent quote unquote $5.6 million to make their AI models, I mean that has to raise a lot of questions, right? You can't just say
yeah,
that, wow, they did all this with only this little amount of money. It's not
yeah,
that shouldn't be what we're thinking. We
yeah.
should be questioning why it only took that much when our developers are making AI models from scratch and it's costing billions of dollars.
Yeah. So, if anything, this is a pretty much a key example of a lot of people just not reading the papers correctly here. What they meant to say, what it's meant to say on the paper, what people should be reading it is that this is the cost of computational power, not development costs. Even the DeepSeek people even admit, also said too that like, yeah, what we said on that paper, that's just for computational cost too. We did not factor into the cost with how much we had to spend the infrastructure, all of the development costs to make this model in the first place. So this could easily hit like hundreds of $1 million ranges or above that too. So it's more like it's a 5.6 million plus asterisk on there of like the
Plus
true
whatever
cost.
amount of money, plus whatever amount of money they decide to spend and not tell us. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there's a lot of memes going around about OpenAI. Sam Altman, I think that was his name, the
Yeah.
CEO of OpenAI, the man riding around in his supercar, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is where all the AI money's going into.
Yeah. God.
Fair that people are memeing on that, but at the same time, when the Chinese releases something, there's got to be a lot of skepticism to it. But this
Yeah.
time, nobody thought anything of it. They just thought
Yeah.
that this is how much it cost and this is how much it took to develop their whole AI that's competitive with the GPT-01 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And mhm.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's very overblown. I'm not saying that Chinese released a bad AI. I think just the way people reacted was extraordinarily overblown.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely like an overreaction to a lot of the markets too, especially for investors that obviously they, let's be honest, I don't think they have the technical know-how how a lot of these AI models work in the first place. They just know that like it's for those that during that time too that remember this is pretty much feels very similar to the dot-com bubble where like as soon as like you put in your company name .com at the very end of it, your valuation goes up 20 times. So that's what it feels like right
Yeah,
now with the way how investors kind of
I,
view AI, which
it
it's
is. I think it is. I mean, like if you have AI, suddenly your company's like worth something.
yeah,
But it's just them following it's just
trends.
following the trend, yeah, instead of
Yeah.
actually understanding what the company's doing.
Yeah. Because like here's the thing what we did to like we me and Victor had to like go through a lot of like just the technical jargon, a lot of videos, and a lot of other papers that either support or in this case, there's some criticism about the DeepSeek R1 here. But the biggest other reason why a lot of people are up in arms really with it lately is the fact that it is open source. For definition, and we talked about open source here too, it just means too that it is available for the public to dig through the source code and they can implement it, download it themselves, and run their own AI software with the hardware that they have. Mind you, they said that this AI too has better ways of like implementing or using like older technology. Also read somewhere too, Victor, that like someone was able to run one of their AI models off of like 3 Mac computers because apparently it can use like Mac hardware to do so. I don't know why you would use
Wait, for
that, but
for DeepSeek?
yeah.
Oh, I mean, new apples nowadays. It depends on which apple they're using. The newer
Mhm,
ones have like these AI processors or whatever NPUs. I think they're what they're called. So they're
mhm.
basically for AI and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, needless to say too, it's actually interesting too that like a lot of it is definitely like people can use alternative like resources to do so. But let's be fucking honest too. the fact that like Nvidia stock prices dropped too should not have happened in the first place too, because here's the thing that they also said in a report anyways too, is that they use like H100 chipsets effectively, which are Nvidia's most expensive enterprise GPU chips.
Not
So
most expensive, but they're enterprise grade and they're really high end. They're not like the low end enterprise models either.
like what they
Those
say that
I
they use
think
H800s, but
yeah, H100s. Those are a couple years old. They're not the newest ones, I believe.
mhm.
But either way, I think on eBay they're going for like 30 grand, so they're pretty expensive.
Yeah. And also for the people that are criticized too, they're like, how did they make something like this where like what was effectively there's supposed to be embargo of like CPU chips or GPU chips to China? And I'm like, do you guys realize too that like, yes, that just means they can't buy directly from the seller. You know what else exists? eBay
Mm-hmm.
or Facebook Marketplace, literally anywhere else that you could think of. If I'm also peaking, if my mic is peaking a little bit, do let me know, and I might have to turn that down on my side because I have seen that shit hit the red. There we go. But mind you,
I
it's
think you
very
shouldn't be shoving your mic down your throat, bro.
well. I want this to be crystal clear and clarity wise. So moving on, we it's very much very interesting to see like how much of it is definitely like economists or market analysts are definitely panicking over what is effectively nothing here, because let's be
I mean,
honest too.
they're only panicking because they don't understand what they're like looking at.
Yeah, which it makes perfect sense too. You don't know what's really happening too, so therefore you're gonna have like a lot of people being skeptical about this type of shit. But if you really take the time and actually look further into this too, it is the few things that do make things a little bit questionable here is the fact that Deepseek, based on what my girlfriend kind of showed me a little bit about this, she should have said on there that like this company is only started up at 2023. So therefore the development time to make this thing too is like relatively short. So
Yeah, and
unless
it took like OpenAI like however many years to create even their own AI model. So
yeah.
I think 2 years is a little short to really do anything.
Yeah. So, and that's also, there's also claims right now with OpenAI accusing DeepSeek of, in this case, stealing technology in order to power their technology. Two notes for that one, though, too, is that OpenAI unfortunately did the blunder move of saying that statement publicly. Now, in the fact that a lot of people that were already doing stuff that were open source to begin with, now they're just kind of looking at DeepSeek being like, so at first we were thought that this was just a competitor. Maybe they had their own separate code base. But if it's OpenAI that's deeply concerned in the fact that they stole their technology and that these guys made it open source, hmm,
I mean, what's questionable about that? It's wrong.
yeah, it is wrong still, but to other people, it's like say that like, hey, even though yes, it belongs in this case proprietary technology for open labs in general too, but because of its DeepSeek that has it and they accused of them of stealing said technology, I'm just putting into word of like, hey, you accidentally legitimize the fact that their DeepSeek is practically the same technology that used for open like your GPT-01 minis, which let's be honest too, you can't really get that as open source. You have to pay for it in order to access that type of hardware to begin with. But
Well,
because
it's
it's an open source, now in this case,
just
people
paying
are
to
probably going to
access
look at
it.
it. Yeah.
Look, they're accusing them of stealing the model or things like that. So that is a serious issue. If it
Yeah.
is true, I'm not saying it is. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah.
Just saying, if it is true, then it's a serious issue.
Yeah. Like I said, this is mostly still claims that anyways too that they're throwing it out there. But if it is true, nonetheless too, what I still think is going to happen is that it still legitimizes, in this case, the value of DeepSeek being the fact that it has technology that OpenAI Labs has, and it's now part of DeepSeek that people could just look
I
into the
don't think
source
it
code and
legitimizes
download.
it. No, it doesn't legitimize it. I
At
mean, this is
least,
just this is stealing software. I mean, the U.S. has been cracking down on this for a long time. So
yeah. But in this case, we'll see like what happens too once like the issue gets bigger and bigger about this. But at the meantime as well too, the open source nature of it, people are definitely going to figure out ways to like either keep it open source by either making a fork or a branch of it somewhere online. Besides the point here, the other thing I still would like to say too, as a sense of irony too, is that OpenAI Labs is kind of funny to accuse them of stealing stuff when they're still having to battle lawsuits of other companies of stealing their data to train their
Okay.
models.
All right. Let's make a clarification here.
Mhm.
OpenAI is stealing data to train their model.
Yeah,
Deepseek is stealing OpenAI's model. There's a difference here.
yeah. But even
There's
if
a
the
big difference here.
yeah,
Regardless, I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying anybody's right. I'm just saying that OpenAI is stealing what's already been done.
yeah,
I mean, not OpenAI. DeepSeek is stealing whatever OpenAI has already done.
yeah,
OpenAI is stealing data in order to train their AI.
yeah, it's either trained their AI, but there's also in this case people also accuse that their lines of coding too are also stolen from like other open source models. So needless to say too, we will see what's like, we will just honestly still see, because like the nature of like this whole
But
industry, it is
like
still
I
in
said,
its
like you said, they
Mhm.
steal from other open source. Other open source allows it. There's not stealing it. They allow it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
This is
But
this is where a lot of people seem to not understand the software industry, and I mean, it really shows. And I understand that it's a really big, like, it's a really big thing to know about. If you're not actively in the industry, you're not gonna understand like all these software lingos.
mhm,
Open
but
source, if they give the proper license, MIT or anything like that,
mhm,
you're free to take it and
yeah,
do whatever with it. It's not
yeah,
stealing.
yeah. And obviously too, for the way how Deepseek is, if the accusation is true, it would be bad for them, but it'll be probably out way longer than it already has been, so that people are gonna definitely be able to use it and make it into something else.
Well, I
So
mean, yeah, people are able to use it. We have it. We have it on
yeah.
our locally hosted
Yeah.
AI here. So I think
We will do a demo run soon.
yeah, yeah, we'll do some live testing of it later in the podcast. So we'll see.
Uh, yeah,
We'll just keep talking about DeepSeek and this whole fiasco that went on in the past
yeah,
week or two. I forgot when. I've been out of it. I don't even know when it was. I don't remember
yeah.
when it was.
Yeah, because it's like what, yeah, everybody is really talking about it too. But here's some of the things that at least we could probably nail down to, like us not protecting them, the fact that they are like upsetting the market here too. There's some stuff that like we do like to criticize a lot of stuff about it too. And in this case, it's also the way how a lot of things about, in this case, what I said earlier, the reasoning models that are becoming more popular, especially what OpenAI is trying to do. Now, what
Yeah,
is, do you
this
want
whole
me to
reasoning
describe it?
stuff. Yeah, describe the whole reasoning stuff, man. The reasoning. Good lord, dude, that gives me a headache.
So, for those that don't know, too, this is the most recent trend right now for OpenAI Labs here. They are currently trying to work on new models that, in this case, incorporate like actual reasoning, like actual thinking skills to a AI model. Now, what it's supposed to look on paper is that by the time you ask it a question or you talk to such things too, like you ask it to do a particular task, before it even like gives you like the answers to, it has in this case the thinking stage where it goes through like the step-by-step process of effectively what to us as American public education system would recognize as showing your work. It would do that in the background, and then after it has completed those steps too, it will finally give you the answer and give you a summary of what it did to get to that point. Now on paper that would sound like a good idea, but unfortunately, when me and Victor were like testing this out too, it is a very annoying as fuck feature.
I think what it is it's the reasoning is a little too reasoning. Like
Yeah.
it gives you it goes through the process. It goes through its thinking process. It gives you the step by step of what it's trying to do, what it's thinking, and then once it gives you the answer, it second guesses itself, and then does the whole process over and over again, and it just
Yeah.
keeps going in that infinite-ish loop
Yeah.
until it decides to stop.
Yeah. If anything, too, that was like the initial problem that people that were running the DeepSeek models were having too, especially if you were running the 8B parameters. For those that don't know, 8B just means 8 billion parameters. That just means the amount of context or the amount of inputs that you can put into the AI that it could process your questions, your inquiries, or whatever the fuck. Now,
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. I mean, it's showing its thinking, showing what it's doing. I don't think it's a problem. I mean, the normal AI that we've been using all this time does the same thing.
Hmm.
It's just it's literally writing out in words what it's thinking instead of just showing us steps of what it's doing.
Yeah. So and here's at least my guess about like why do I think that in this case this is such a bad feature, and why do you think a lot of, or why do I think a lot of companies are going to go for like a reasoning model? I think in terms of like based on what I can gather from this, OpenAI is assuming otherwise too, that having a reasoning language model too actually makes it so that the development or like the training cost to train this AI is going to be way less computational power is required. But I think the trade-off is that it requires the end user to help it by, in this case, doing reinforcement learning. That is
I
the
think,
key thing
yeah,
here.
yeah. I think what will happen is it's going to be one of those beta softwares that companies just toss out to people and then have the people like figure out the bugs for them. I think that in a weird irony, I think this is what this reinforcement learning is. This
Mhm.
whole reasoning AI is.
Yeah. It's like it wants, in this case, the users to do so to train all this stuff too. Mind you, the only way how a lot of times like the normal everyday person is going to be able to use these things is through like open AIs or Deepseek's like web application. And we're going to talk about in this case why that's like a bad thing based off the fact that we also did our own personal security podcast episode.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't
Yes, it was. Goddamn.
it?
Like I said too, as a general reminder too, I'm not saying the fact that you should learn how to self-host and figure out how to use a lot of these open source products yourself and try to learn it. It's a daunting task. Victor, how would you explain your experience and try to build up your server?
No, bro. I mean, a lot of the times it's a headache. I mean, when you first start off, when I first started off, I was hosting a bunch of stuff, but I didn't know what I was really doing. So once something broke down, I kind of just scrapped the whole server and redid it.
Hmm. So,
But nowadays, you know, you got to do it a few times in order to really understand what you're doing. Well, nowadays, I'm more confident in just being able to fix the problem instead of just scrapping the whole server.
gotcha. And would you
It,
still
it's it's
say,
it's
mhm,
difficult. It's difficult. I mean, it's difficult depending on what you're doing. If you host basic services, it's easy. You know, like you just run a couple commands and you're done. But
mhm,
if you want to run like multiple services and you want it to be publicly available, like anywhere in the internet, and you want to be able to secure it as well so that nobody just goes into your website, things like that, it becomes a rabbit hole, and you're gonna have to do, or it's gonna take a really long time to figure out how to properly create, deploy, and secure web server for yourself and your users.
mm, yeah, yeah, so pretty much for people too, like I understand too that like if anything, trying to do that process is a daunting task to do, especially if you want to try your best to like limit your digital footprint, or in this case, trying to prevent a lot of these tech companies from stealing your own personal data, which is anything here in the podcast. We are very much advocates of like people having the power to control their own data possible. However, possible is the key word here, just because you can't really like prevent yourself doing so, just because if you're using ChatGPT, for example, you're definitely using the ChatGPT website on your browser to do a lot of the interactions.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Look, if you want, I want to say that if you want to self-host, by all means, just go ahead and do it. Don't even like question yourself. Just do it if you want to.
mhm,
But if you don't do it.
yeah,
That's my
because
that's my advice. If
yeah,
you don't want, if you have to think twice about whether you self-host or not, don't self-host then.
yeah, because like right now the problems right now with the way how a lot of things do, like this is why like DeepSeek being like in this case open source is what was in this case for a while that's considered amazing too. But as we kind of use the models too, we kind of figured that like, so what's really special about this? Because let's be honest too, we actually prefer like all the other open source language models that exist already. Hell, these are open source models that are provided by the big tech companies too. For example, you
Yes.
have Llama from Meta.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
hold on,
Llama
you
from
listen.
Meta. You have Phi or Phi or however Microsoft wants to pronounce it. So Microsoft does have their own open source AI model, even though they own OpenAI. Funny.
Yeah, yeah,
And Google has Gemma. which isn't their main AI model. I think it's Bard or some weird shit like
Yeah,
that,
it
or
is Bard.
Gemini now, called
Oh, okay.
Gemini.
Oh, okay.
So
But
they
then
have
it's
that,
also
and then
trash.
they have their open source model, which is called Gemma, and then a bunch of other open source models from other big or other tech companies. So so DeepSeek releasing an AI model that's comparable to GPT-01. I mean, it's great, but to people who have self-hosted these AIs and probably people in the industry, it shouldn't be mind-blowing.
Yeah, and like here's the thing about this too. I think like what was it? The other content creator, Primetime. In this case, he does shows like his enthusiasm of the fact that yeah, this is open source. But mind you, that enthusiasm comes from the fact that like I think a lot of stuff too, like the nature of like the being open source is a net benefit to a lot of people in the
It's
end.
a net benefit to people like myself and the group here,
Yeah.
who has a self-hosted AI chatbot. So we self-hosted a chatbot UI where we can just download any AI model that we want. We were talking about using our AI chat model in a bit to do a live testing of Deepseek,
Yeah.
which we'll show here in a bit.
Yeah. So if anything right now, do you have any other comments before we do switch over though? Because I am definitely ready to switch over to that.
I'm not sure. Just a quick news. What was it? Governor Greg Abbott. Yeah, he's the governor of Texas. He
Mm-hmm.
just banned DeepSeek and Red Note on government devices.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty much fair. I guess that's good again. God
Yeah, well,
damn.
there's that. I mean, I don't know how far the ban will go. I don't think they'll
Yeah.
ban it for everybody, but I don't know if
Yeah.
any other state or even the federal government's gonna do the same. But we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Because let's be honest, DeepSeek is still technically a new thing too. So it's going to take a bit for a lot of people to catch up. But for everybody else that do use the web app of DeepSeek, be very careful about it too. Just because in the thing about it too, because it's a web application that's being hosted by DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a Chinese company. Therefore, they are in this case under the authorities of the Chinese government. So whatever you type to, they need to be able to like log whatever you type and they had to save it on behalf of the Chinese government. No matter even if they want to try to avoid trying to give that data, them trying to withhold any data from them is considered a crime. So
So just be careful out there, guys. The internet's a dangerous place, even though it looks simple on the surface, but it's a very dangerous place deep down.
yeah. So let's go ahead with in this case the all of the benefits we get to do as we self-host a lot of stuff. So presentation time.
Yay!
All right, we are here. So this is, in this case, fun. We'll say that this stream is sponsored by Victor's Blood and Tears trying to set up this server here.
Correct.
But so if anything, I would also appreciate, I also want to throw out my appreciation for you for creating this too. Even though technically speaking, a lot of this is openly made available to people that want to be able to make it themselves. Because here's
Of
the thing about it.
of course, it's openly available. However, setting it up is always the biggest problem.
Yeah. But there's like a multitude of like online instructions out there for you that you should be able to figure it out. However, for you to be able to understand that, that's entirely up to you. So here's some of the things that we have on here that we're going to run a couple tests here. We have stuff that's the Llama 3.1, which is the meta stuff. What was IA Expanse here? Was that just like a random one?
AI expands. This is just an AI model that was made for I think being multilingual or something. So you can talk to it or have it translate things or things like that.
Oh, gotcha. So we got that. Then you had Cold Llama 13B, which is pretty much the same as the previous Llama, but in this way, this one is much more specialized in helping, like assisting with any coding work that you may have. Then we have the DeepSeek R1 and then 5414B. Now, mind you, it's like if only we had the proper test of actually tried to use GPT-01 as part of like our language model that we could use here. But we're not going to do that because that's also kind of pointless to do here.
Yeah.
Because
Also, this is a how do you say, a more small version of whatever DeepSeek is really running on their own hardware. So
yeah,
this whole test is just on a consumer level. This
so
is not meant to really like reflect the actual the actual full-fledged
yeah,
DeepSeek model.
Yeah, this is also going to be going out for like the people that are also kind of tech savvy. Do you mind also giving out the specs that the server is working off of? You don't need to give out names, just like the numbers. Victor?
You're telling me?
Yeah, yeah. Do you mind also like
Oh
this is
yeah,
listing the
my
spec?
thing is currently I'm currently running a Ryzen 7 1700X, which
Mm,
was the first generation Ryzen.
mm,
And then I have a GTX 1070, which is not an AI specific GPU, nor is it has any AI features at all.
yeah.
Those are a new
So
RTX. The new RTX would have AI features, not these really old ones.
so So effectively, this is going to be a very impressive showcasing that even though they obviously you would want to run like better hardware, we're going to actually run through the test about all this stuff. So mind you, and with it, let's go ahead and say what will be like the first question. Do you want to ask it, Victor, or do you want to go through some of the listed stuff that we had on here?
No, let's go to whatever we had before. Let's go with that, and then we'll see if we can
Yeah,
come up with any different questions to ask it.
yeah. Oh shit! Wait, did I not have the question saved? Ah, well, screw it. Let's go ahead and do like simple math questions here. Let's just say, uh, let's give it a problem in calculus then. What is the derivative of? Give me a function equation, Victor.
Well, you think I remember calculus? Good luck, bro.
Oh god damn it! Am I the only one that still does? Am I the fucking loser in this?
No, you're the engineer, bro.
God damn it! 3x
I'm a coder.
plus
I'm a
15
programmer. I let the machine do that work.
plus plus 12. So we're gonna do this. This is pretty much what we're gonna ask it here. And we're gonna see how Deepseek is handles, in this case, a simple calculus problem here. Derivatives shouldn't be too hard. Although for some people, it is probably the most difficult thing they have to do in their life, but I digress.
Hmm.
So it's gonna take a
I
bit too.
mean, yeah, it's gonna take a bit because it has to load everything it has to load all the tokens, all the 14 billion tokens in the memory, and
Hmm.
I think that's about I think 10 gigs or something. I
Yeah.
forgot. But it has
Yeah.
to load 10 gigs worth of stuff into memory, so
Yeah.
it's gonna take some time.
So while we're letting this thing run too, Victor, what is in this case the most challenging? Oh, wait, here it is. So definitely it has some weird stuff that you could see in there immediately, but you could definitely see that based on a lot of these inputs and outputs that it's giving out to, that it is currently going to go through like a lot of terms and a lot of like simple like way how we see problems in the end. So, like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong with like what we say is the thinking model about it too. Hopefully that in this case, this one is a little bit better than what we tested last time, because the last one
Yeah,
that
I
we tested was the 8B model,
think we
which
tested 7 and 8B, which was
it
let's
was
just
awful.
say what's the nicest way of saying this? Just a whiny kid.
Yeah,
This seems better. It doesn't seem whiny. It seems like it's answering it properly. It's going
yeah.
through its steps, which is correct, which is how it should be.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think it's doing well. I think it's actually doing well right now.
So yeah, this is definitely like for people that are already wanting to like self-host this too. Make sure that you have the hardware capable enough that you could at least run DeepSeek R1 14 billion parameter, which that does require a lot of intensive computational power from that. A little bit, but not by much.
But you definitely need a GPU for sure. Running off a CPU would be you either need a super powerful one or it
Hmm.
probably can't run at all.
Yep. And so, yeah, this time this runs way better than beforehand too, because we had something on here that just spanned endlessly.
I
Then it
think
was so bad. Like, oh my,
did you save the output? I remember asking you to save the output. I think
I don't think I did for this one.
okay,
Ah, shit.
maybe you save it there, but I saved it in a text file.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the text file, how many lines of code, how many lines of text did it generate?
Let's
Oh,
see, just for a simple math question. I don't remember what kind of math we were asking it, but
um,
it was about 500 lines of
text.
text.
Oh, it wasn't technically a simple math question. It was actually a physics-based question that obviously I purposely didn't give it enough parameters for it to
Why'd you
be able to
do
solve.
that?
Because
Ask that question again.
So I purposely had to do that because a lot of times within the way how I took my engineering course is that sometimes we're not given a lot of the information
No.
on there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no. I understand. I'm saying ask the AI this question again.
okay, so if I were to ask that question again, let me see here. So pretty much then, what this question was supposed to be here. Let me find that. Oh my god, hold on. Did it not save the question I had on here? Okay, give me not in my text document. I know I saved it somewhere else here. Give me 1 second,
All right,
folks.
check our chat, check our Discord chat. It should be somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it should be somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
sorry
did not.
guys. This is gonna be
All right.
this is something we're doing on the fly right now. This
Uh,
wasn't
All right.
yeah,
So,
something we
all right.
Here you go. I saved it to this text file. You can
Yeah,
look
give
into
me.
that.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
First one was llama. Second one was the Deepseek one.
Did it also save the question that was on here too? Let me see. Because
Oh,
we
you didn't
can.
save the question, but you did. You did. There's the equation there.
Yeah, there's the equation there. So pretty much, I'll just say this for the levity of this right now too. Uh, the question that I did ask it was that I wanted it to calculate for me the von Mises stress, which is a term in physics and engineering, which all it really is that it calculates it to say the ductile stress of like a material. Because I telling it to calculate the stress of a cantilever steel beam that has 20 pounds of pressure or 200 pounds newtons of pressure applied distributed across the entire beam, which is that's like a very fair question to ask it. But I didn't really give the specification on purpose of the spec of what type of steel beam it is, nor the length. And that was on purpose because usually with those types of questions, you are just given in this case, here's the formula that you would need to do. And all you had to do was just plug in the values and then you would get the stress number based on the specs and the dimensions of the steel beam in question.
All
For
right, Mr. Billy,
Deepseek,
ask away.
so with Deepseek here, let's go ahead. Let's create a new one for this. So calculate for me the von Mises stress of a cantilever steel beam with two. I'm sorry, my spelling mistake is awful here, but I'm an engineer. It fucking happens. With 200 newtons, newtons worth of force applied. Force applied. I'll say applied as a distribution load along the length of the beam. We're just gonna ignore all these spelling mistakes and we're just
That's all
gonna go
right.
with it.
We all make spelling mistakes, bro. It's okay. Don't worry.
Yeah. So no, we're gonna go through this real quick too as it's generating. Yeah, it would be cool if I could run a separate test tube, but unfortunately, the way how this would work on Victor's server is that his capacity is that he can only generate like one answer at a time. Because if I try
Well,
to
to be
generate,
fair, I have only one GPU running right now, so
yeah, and it's a GPU that's definitely needs to be upgraded.
I think
Which,
I need multiple GPUs for it to do multiple models, like
mhm,
multiple questions at the same time.
which is perfectly fine. However, for a lot of use cases too, you wouldn't really need to do that unless you are actively trying to test like different models and you want to post that result online somewhere for kudo
But
points, I guess.
I think it's fine, bro. You just do one at a time. You just maybe take a little bit of extra time to do so.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's why we can talk about more about
All right.
DeepSeek.
So I think in general too, I think we're experiencing like a better result from a 14 billion parameter set than we did for a 8 billion parameter set. But I feel like that can also be an issue too. What issues do you think you could give me for this one then? Just outside the fact that it's technically more intensive, like you would need more resources in order for it to work off of.
I mean, yeah, if you want to run an AI, you gotta have resources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what else to say honestly, because you need a lot of memory, VRAM or not VRAM and GPU power in order to in order to run an AI model. Because here, this is a 14 billion model, 14 billion parameter model. It's not big per se. It's not small. It's
Yeah.
not super small.
Yeah.
My computer is probably low to mid end at best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of struggling. So
Yeah. It is definitely struggling because I'm pretty sure it's because obviously I purposely did not leave, I did not ask it the questions of like either what the steel beam is made of, what is the dimensions of that, and how's the and what parts of the force is being distributed on here. That's perfectly fine. I am in this case simulating a person that obviously did not know how to properly word these questions to this. But however, that shouldn't be the case here too, because if we also look upon some of the other stuff that we have here, let me see. Could I open this up in a separate tab here? Expand. So here is what I got for this too. Is there a way that I could actually just show people the text on this Windows application here too?
the what? Or what? What the
Uh,
the
yeah,
Discord
yeah,
text?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I just hit download and it just gives me the not the best looking one. Oh well,
Yeah, not sure.
but it's fine. I'll just explain it
Yeah,
to you based
can
on
you
what we
open
have.
up a notepad? Oh yeah,
I,
but you have to show your screen, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it then. It'll be fine. We'll probably figure out a better system for this at some point too. I would definitely have to share a screen, but sometimes I don't want that. I'll just want to show just the application, but whatever. So what I did ask for it instead too is the same exact question on here, but the AI was very much intuitive on in this case. However, I can provide you with a solution to this problem. However, I need some information from you first. To calculate the von Mises stress, for a cantilevered steel beam under a distributed load, we need to know the following parameters: the beam dimensions, the material properties. Please provide me with those values and I'll help you calculate the von Mises stress. You see, that one is actually much more intuitive that way because I purposely did not have those
Wait,
information. Hmm.
Brian. In your text file, can you do a right click, open with Brave or whatever?
Oh, maybe. Actually, maybe. Then let me go ahead and save this real quick then. Give me.
I think you might be able to just drag it into the Brave browser and it should open up.
Yeah, here it
Yeah.
is. So here we go. We can definitely look at it as the output. This is not generated by us by hand because fuck trying to do all this shit by hand.
Yeah, this was what we were testing previously. So this is currently what you're looking at, the output of Llama,
Yeah. So
which
for
is
long.
Facebook's model.
And here to the right here that I am going to showcase here once it finishes downloading. This is the Deepseek calculation over to this. God damn it. Did you not drag? Here. This is it here too. Notice in this case how much other information that it was trying to do. I won't go line by line for what it is too, but it was definitely going, wait, I could do this instead, but wait, if we take a moment about B and then
But
alternatively.
wait.
Yeah,
So wait. There's a lot of waits. It tells you to wait a lot. And that's all
yeah.
it really is, back and forth constantly, just a lot of waiting.
Yeah, which if anything too, like it did give me something here too, but it's like it took way too long to get the answer that I needed here. Which all it did was the fact it just gave me a function equation that I just need to plug in the constant values of what I'm trying to look for. Versus this one, I haven't verified if the answer is correct too. For those that are like my engineering nerds, if you want to take the time to like try to figure this out yourself too, go for it.
Yeah,
But
but the good thing about Llama here is that well, after Brian asked that question, it went back and asked Brian what else, like what other values
yeah,
that it
yeah.
needs in order to plug into the equation.
Such as the fact here, all I did was I gave them the overall dimensions. Like it's around 5 meters and like 6 inches wide and 8 inches high, with the material, with the matching the specs of like cold rolled steel. Now, why couldn't I just give them more information about that? There would have been no point anyways, because these language models are trained based off like what's currently available on the internet. And guess what's available on the internet? A lot of steel specs. So it would not be impossible for it to like actually go through to its own database, find out, oh, here's the specs for cold rolled steel. and it can calculate from their point on, which is actually way more and way less lines of text that you're gonna have to be reading versus whatever this was. Now, let's see, how far is it going? It is still
Oh
going.
my god.
Yeah, you could
It's doing
definitely
it again. Wait, it's doing it again.
yeah. So this is the current issue right now with the way how it's not DeepSeek's problems too. I think a lot of people are going to be experiencing this when they use ChatGPT o1, where it's going to just be endlessly trying to go for a wait, but hold on, wait, and then alternatively, yeah. So it's definitely in this case too. Maybe the way I did ask a question definitely did cause this too. If there's someone out there that's a definitely like AI engineering, or if
Yeah.
that's a new classification field, if there's
Oh,
like a way
prompt
that,
engineering. Yeah,
yeah,
prompt
prompt
engineering
engineering,
is an actual thing.
yeah, if there's
Oh,
something
they
that like I
get, off
could,
topic. You know they get paid 6 figures? Crazy.
what the fuck, man,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I felt like I made a mistake
Just
in
being a
my life.
prompt engineer is fucking bank. It's crazy. I don't understand.
But yes, you can definitely tell too that like probably whatever I typed in a prompt might have caused like this issue to go into what's apparently it's second guessing like a cycle too. However, a lot of people have figured out a way to kind of make it stop doing that by initially putting it into the prompt before you hit enter. Is like, you are an expert on this and you are confident, be good. It's
Yeah,
like, oh
you have to give it a pat on the back in order for it to answer you properly, which is kind of insane to me.
yeah, because here's the thing about it too. With the fact that reinforcement learning, it's obvious that that is what it's you're supposed to do with these newer models. But Victor, I feel like you have in this case a much more heated debate about like the direction that this is going.
Of course, I think this is dumb. Look what it's doing. If I don't say good job, it just second guesses itself over and over. Look, I don't know how long this is gonna take,
But we
but
can
once we run on Llama, you'll see that it's straight to the point. It's extraordinarily straightforward. It tells you what you need, right or wrong. I don't know yet. We haven't figured that out yet. But it's coherent. It's a proper answer. It's not
yeah.
going through the cycle of wait, no, but this and that.
Yeah. Because like clearly it is definitely like, yes, I'll definitely own up to the fact that maybe I did not prompt it correctly. If I did prompt it correctly, maybe it would be fewer or less inputs.
But
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 here's what
but
I'm
but
trying to simulate.
but you do this. You copy and paste this exact same prompt to Llama, and it asks you like it asks you the other information it needs, and then it gives you an answer.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot better than what it's doing. What's happening here with DeepSeek?
Yeah. Which, mind you, the fact of it being is that like when I was doing like classes like this too, we technically had to go through lines and lines of like actually like proving our work to get to the answer that we need to. Sometimes we're technically wrong about that. But that's not the point here. The point here is that this is supposed to be a machine. Why do we really need it to actually like think? Why do we need to know its thinking process? Especially to this annoyingly level. Like, holy fucking shit. But I do think it is reaching towards the end of it, I think here. But if it starts going through again about this, we'll definitely stop it here. And then we'll just go through with Olama of what it's trying, how it would process this answer. So yeah. So in conclusion, the problem lacks necessary information. A beam length, cross-sectional dimensions to calculate mesisters. Perhaps I should inform the users. And there we go. Now you see the details end, and now it actually does this. So this is the only part that is interesting too, is that like it has what is, I believe I want to call it as like its resource thinking dump pool that you technically aren't really supposed to see this yet.
It thought
But
for 387 seconds. That's pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, this boy's thinking for a long time. That's for sure.
God damn. Was that? Yeah. But here, this pretty much, yeah, this is the correct formula where M is that. So it's going through all this, the substituting. Pretty much, yeah. It's like you would end up wanting to prefer this answer over whatever the shit that we got here.
Yeah, I don't want to see it thinking. I don't. That. I mean, it doesn't provide me with anything.
Yeah, it doesn't provide us with any value here with it. So the problem requires additional in this case. Yeah.
It did all that just to ask more questions.
Yeah. So at least this was better than before where it would like try to ask, it would then ask me the question. Here with llama here, actually, let's do a new one here. Let's go ahead and copy this. I fucking love this feature too, so that I can like do this, copy. We'll do the 8 billion parameter one here too. Just so that I could give your fucking GPU a break here.
No,
So
it's still gonna have a stroke.
yeah, fair enough. Because obviously, I'm purposely leaving out information. So, with that being said, we'll definitely see how this one rolls out. But versus in this case, how you feel about this one. I really do
Mm.
hope too that, like, obviously, like I said, on paper with these reasoning models, it sounds like this would be good. But the way how we see it right then and there, it was awful experience.
It was definitely awful. I think seeing an AI, a computer, like a program, whatever, a piece of code, just doing its thinking like that, it's just odd. You know, you expect the computer to be able to just do something
And it's
and
like,
spit out an answer or something like that. You know, spit out a response. You don't care for it thinking. I mean, it doesn't really think, right?
yeah, unless you wanted to ask for philosophy question, but why would you ask that for an AI, really?
Yeah, why would you ask an AI philosophy questions? That's really interesting. Plus, I think it wouldn't even give you a proper answer to begin with. It's an
Yeah,
AI.
because
It's not a person sitting there thinking with you.
yeah, like here's the thing. It can in this case inference. It can do like any inference based off like a lot of human knowledge that we have here. But that's the actual limit here too. It's the fact that a lot of these models, they are based off of like what we know. So how do you expect in this case a model to be able to infer and create new knowledge based off of what we already know too? Because it's not able to do such things like that too. Like yes, it may look like it appeared like it could give you new things and answers too. But if you really think about it too, you can also do the same capabilities as this as well. If you really given it time about it. There's nothing really that honestly sparks me of like, hey, maybe these things are better. I won't doubt that like these things are going to get better too. But I think right now the way how people are overreacting about it too, we are still years away from it from being successful.
Yeah, I don't see it as a good. I still don't see it as a good AI model to begin with. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think that's the direction we should take our AIs in, giving our AIs the ability to like show what they're thinking.
Like
You know,
I
maybe
believe,
this is good for Daddy Elon and his robots, but
yeah,
under normal circumstances, I don't think it should be an AI model that thinks.
yeah.
Because imagine if a Tesla car thinks while it's is driving itself. That's awful.
Well, it's
That'll
also
be hell
really,
awful.
yeah, it is going to be awful here too. But I I really don't know. Maybe it's like the best way how I can see the reasoning model can work too if it's like much more specialized, right? That's the only
Of
other
course,
case.
I'm sure it is specialized. I'm sure it's like just for a specific use case. Because you know, technically AIs, while they are quote unquote general artificial intelligence, they're not really general.
Yeah, like we haven't even scrapped that surface too. Hey, is there something wrong with this one too? Because it is definitely struggling right now.
No, it has to unload all of the other tokens from memory and then reload whatever llama has, so it's gonna take time.
Fair enough. So yeah, this is the current issue right now that definitely that we would need a bigger hardware for.
We need more hardware for.
Also, to the person that actually has my fucking name as trash or a hot podcast too, say that I don't support Black History Month, you could go fuck yourself. God damn it. God damn it. But
Why are you saying
mind,
that, bro?
I don't
Why are
know,
they
man.
saying that?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, here it is. We got it. To calculate the von Mises first, determine the bending moment. Oh, it's verity. However, a more out. So yeah, so you could definitely see from here, this is a much more like concise. And technically speaking, you could say that this is technically faster, but mind you, this is a 8 billion parameter. This is way less than the 14 billion one that we got too. So here, it looks like it's doing all this stuff that we needed to do, but way less text to read. This is much more approachable to read versus whatever we got here. which if anything, if we deleted everything that's before that too, this is also technically readable. But all of this stuff too, that's just taking up time and resources. I think that's really the thing about it too, is that it's claiming that's supposed to be really efficient with it too. However, you're gonna have stuff like this too, and this isn't, to me, speaks efficiency.
Yeah, it doesn't. If it has to go through this thought process over and over, it definitely is a lot less efficient. But then
Yeah.
again, we don't know what the other AI model's thinking. Let me be honest. Let me be honest and say we don't know what Llama's thinking. We know what it outputs, but we don't know what's thinking. Granted, it answered a lot faster in Deepseek, so I'm sure it didn't think that much.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's be honest too, we have to really ask this too, because here's the current issue with the way how the current AI space is. Like, there's no literal practical use cases for everybody's like need for this AI outside of like what I'm just doing here too. Like, this is technically what I care about the most in this regard. Why do we need, in this case, a deep thinking AI to this level here? Maybe if you're like actually trying to train your own AI, you actually want to see the thought process behind all this. Like, yes, this could be considered important, but as a normal everyday consumer, I'll be honest too, I think this is kind of unnecessary. Like, all of this is technically unnecessary because let's be honest, people are more willing, at least in the everyday market too, or the everyday person, they would rather see this type of result come back with their question, not all of
Yeah,
this.
of course, of course. I mean, same thing here. Like, I don't want to see a lot of extra stuff. It doesn't. I think it'll confuse me even more than it should.
Yeah.
At least with Llama, see, everything is straightforward. Everything is organized properly. It tells you. It does explain to you what it's looking for and what the formula even is.
Right. And
So I mean, this way is a lot better than whatever DeepSeek is doing.
yeah, and like I don't like it. Yeah, it's so much like it's starking differences because technically you could look at this too, like Llama 3.1. This isn't even like the most recent like Llama iteration out there too.
Yeah, this is
And
this is an older model, but it's
yeah,
the only model I can run that's from Llama. So
yeah. Until we get the upgrade too, we will definitely be running more tests with this too. Because let's be honest, I won't say for certain that we're gonna be getting rid of DeepSeek from our sources to begin with too. We're still gonna definitely test it too, just because if there's also gonna be people updating the language model too to like probably make it run more efficiently, as in probably lessen the amount of shit that it does this.
hey, more power to them. That's the whole beauty of open source. Anybody can do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, actually, just for a fun tidbit, let's run this exact question on Phi whatever.
On Fi? All right, no problem then.
On
Although it's yeah, this one will also take a bit too because this is also 14 billion parameter model too, but that's okay. Because A, we're not paying for every text. We're just paying, in this case, Victor's electricity bill for this to run.
yeah, and you're also paying for my computer's medical bill whenever it has a stroke.
Oh, well, shit. Well, which to be fair though, I feel like it's gonna have the another fucking stroke inbound here, but
Yeah.
mind you, with the this is pretty much on behalf of, at least for what me and Victor here, what our at least close enough to a experienced view about all this shit too. We're still far away from it. Oh my god, wait, this loaded even faster. Holy shit.
Maybe Microsoft's model is actually good. Who knows?
Yeah. Mind you, Microsoft, yes, does own OpenAI, which is funny enough in that it is too, that like you can also get like ChatGPT O1's model for free because OpenAI needs to somehow make money. Whatever. But mind you, this is also something that like obviously like AI is gonna have a place sometime in the future, whether we want to or not, depending on which industry you work for. It's gonna be a reality factor to people.
Yeah, this is a better model. It shows you what's given, the data that's given. It does assumptions too. Look at that. And
Yeah.
then the steps it's going through. Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. You see, this is honestly a way better representation of like what we see here too. Mind you, a lot of the AI models definitely will have like their quirks and whatnot whenever it answers the same question, or when it gets asked the same question, and then it gives you varying results down the line too. But mind you, that's why in this case we have, like, in this case, the test that Olama or that Deepseek here pulled from their end. I'm sorry for people that were looking at the dark mode representation of this. I don't know why Olama doesn't do theirs in dark mode, but here you go. Everyone gets flashbanged here. So here, this is the what they are claiming otherwise, what Deepseek is doing. In this case, these are, in this case, the coding tests to help test out like different of the models here. Then what they have claimed here too is that, like, this is their original one, the OG Deepseek R1, which is a 671 billion parameter model, which is something that we are nowhere close to having that type of hardware, at least consumer wise.
Yeah, we need at least 400 gigs of RAM in order to run this. So yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, not happening anytime soon. But based on a lot of these results too, these are in this case a distilled model for this. I think here's the thing that I've noticed too, what they're trying to do with this is that they're making a lot of like multiple like distilled models that are going to be specialties within that same model that they could just enable as a switch. If there's something that it detects that it's a math question, it will disable every other one and then only enable the ones that was distilled, that was only trained off of like math question problems.
Maybe.
So maybe that's the efficiency in that line of coding too, which is then labeled here. But a lot of people are in this case misinterpreting what the efficiency is in this one. Because let's be honest, you probably saw it too. They all calculated stuff roughly around the same rate, albeit DeepSeek took a lot longer to give us the answer versus in this case the Meta and the Microsoft open language model here. Needless to say, we can definitely infer to that, like, I think DeepSeek is gonna have like a interesting future just because the fact that yeah, it's a Chinese like company too. It has a lot of political ramification or other like national security concerns too. But already it being open source too, all of this as well too. Yes, it's like over the internet how I'm using it too, but it's only in Victor's server. Unless he wants to take the data that I put into it and sell my data off to somewhere else to make like a penny or something. You asshole, don't do that to me.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Hey. Mind you, that's just the nature of business of how a lot of these things are. Because with the open source and being able to self-host things yourself, you have more control over like your own data here. It's gonna turns out like a repeat of like, yeah, like doing a lot of this stuff yourself is probably for the betterment of the future. Like we hope that that's going to be the case, but obviously that's not going to happen for a long time soon, anytime soon.
Let me be honest. The amount of people who are like tech savvy of any capacity is very low. The amount's probably very, very low.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing here is, I'm not saying it's simple. It's definitely complex, but it's doable if you put in the time to learn it. But it's complex if you just look at it from the outside.
Yeah. And for people that's why, like, for people working inside of it, that's why they're a lot more excited with DeepSeek, is the fact that like it's something that like, we kind of want to be able to use like these big ass models like the 671 billion and see if we could self-host that. That's perfectly fine. If that's something that like for those that wanted to pursue that type of work, personal work yourself, now you have that option. You have a 671 billion parameter model. Holy fucking shit. How big is this model size actually?
400 gigs, 400 something. If you click on it, if you click, wait, go up. If you click on the where it says 7B, there's a down arrow. But yeah, it says 404 gigs. That's the size of it.
Oh my lord, that is a lot. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, it's big. It's pretty big. It's almost half a terabyte. Imagine that.
Oh my god.
That's like 4 games nowadays, bro.
God. But yes, this is pretty much right now. Like, hopefully everyone here enjoys, in this case, the presentation type that I did here too. But as it stands right now too, I think in general, DeepSeek is going to be the fundamentally good thing that they did is the fact that they open source what is effectively a gigantic model for people to download themselves. which is
Hmm.
good.
See, it's good that they did it, but at the same time, like the
You
whole
have,
market definitely they overreacted
yeah,
to this release.
yeah, it definitely overreacted to this release. And let's be honest too, if you were, let's say, like the same level as we us do, where you're doing a lot of self-hosting, I don't even think too that you would necessarily need Deepseek to do this too, because the reasoning model itself too doesn't really make sense for like an individual consumer.
I don't know where it makes sense. Maybe a chatbot if you're trying to like, I guess, talk to it. But outside of that, I don't see a real reason to use a reasoning model.
Because no, the other only other thing places I could see it having it too would be like if other companies want to like use this model to help train it. I think that's the other thing too. Trying to train like models can be very expensive. I think what this does is that it's supposed to provide like a easier channel to be able to help train like your own personal model, especially if you're doing stuff open source.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the only other reason that I could see it as. But however, I don't think that is the case too, because with Open Web UI too, you don't really need to worry about that too, since you can obviously upload your own files into here. And because it's in Victor server, he can literally just inference his own files that he's saved on that storage for the AI to get the information off of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
but like I said, there's nothing else really that for people to be genuinely scared about.
Well, there's nothing for investors to be scared about.
Yeah.
Normal people, this is great.
Yeah. For normal people,
Like
this is amazing.
this is wonderful. Like we have a new AI model that we can use to do whatever it is that we want.
Yeah.
Competition is always great, as they say.
Yeah. Moving back
Just
over
be
to the main side.
like we said last time. Be careful when we do the
Yeah.
transition. Can they still hear us?
Yeah. They should still be able to hear us
Oh, okay. Well, either way, we should be able. Like we should stay away from their web apps.
as much as
There's
possible.
plenty. There's plenty of ways to run this open source model without having to run an entire server like what we're doing now. You can run it on your computer locally. There's a few
Mm,
softwares that can do that. I don't know any of the top of my head though, but there are. I know there are because I've seen them on YouTube.
yeah. And regardless whatsoever, too, a lot of this stuff too, like that's why like the great nature about it being open source is that you can go out there and actually look at it. That's the thing. You can look at the source code, you can look at it, download it yourself, and actually like tinker and experiment with. I think right now this only applies to the people that are tech savvy. If you want to do this, this is probably a great opportunity for you.
This is a wonderful opportunity. Just another AI model to add to the
The
inventory here in order to
yeah,
use to help out with your daily lives, whatever it is that you're doing.
yeah. And this who knows too, because let's be honest, it's not limited to you as well. All the other big companies can also look at this as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a thing. So
That's a
needless to
great thing. You can use it however much you want without worrying about paying for anything.
mm-hmm.
That is a great thing.
So like I said too, I do feel like at the rate that this feels like right now too, generally speaking, open sourcing a lot of technology is definitely is what's gonna honestly help benefit and improve like the technology itself. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
rate that we're going with right now too is like it's like the whole conglomeration of all the AI development is being solely for like one company. Even though the fact that may not be the case too, but all the market analysts said see the like, oh, OpenAI is practically pivoting itself to be like the main company that's going to be working on AI development.
Well, that's
Where
definitely not true. I mean, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, they're all working on AI. Amazon too. So
yeah,
no, it's definitely not just one company doing it, as much
yeah.
as people want to believe it is.
Yeah. But regardless whatsoever, too, now that in this case, you have in this case another player that's in this space now too, and it's not being controlled by like American companies too. Hell, maybe in this case too, we're gonna actually see other like countries too that could probably take the DeepSeek model and actually make their own versions of it. Because
Mm,
the open source nature of it.
yeah.
So regardless,
You
I
know,
think what this Mhm.
mm, as long as you guys use the model itself and not the web apps, using DeepSeek is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And if anyone asks like where can you find like a lot of this stuff to look for, literally you can look at GitHub, YouTube videos, hell, even go through like Reddit forums if that's still a thing that people do now.
Yeah, just look up locally hosted
Like,
LLMs or locally hosted AIs or something like that, and you'll probably get it. You'll probably get your answer easily.
yeah, like it is only hard if you make it hard in the first place. But outside of that too, everything about what's happening here too, we honestly we can't really give like very much solid answers outside of very much one thing. Markets are overreacting. Technically speaking, Nvidia stocks are going to be able to bounce back up because once people realize that, hey, even though like you could technically run up like older hardware of like stuff too, it's still Nvidia hardware that they still need to purchase. A GPU still needs to be purchased to run these AI models.
And the GPU Deepseek are using are NVIDIA GPUs of all things.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know
it's
why NVIDIA was the most affected. That was the weirdest thing I've seen.
yeah, it's like it doesn't make sense like why they should be affected by this because they are still the providers for this no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
It's so it does feel a lot moronic when you look at the way how investors how they see it too versus like us here because we're actually seeing how this works in person and it's not like there's nothing about this too. You still need the hardware. All this would do is that like it makes it more available to a lot more companies or other people to make their own language model that can be considered competitive now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this does.
See, have you noticed in Olama they released the model as MIT,
Mhm.
which means anybody can take it and develop their own software on top of it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing right now with DeepSeek as well too. With their R1 models, it has the MIT
Oh,
license.
did I say Olama? I meant DeepSeek. My bad.
Oh yeah, there you're fine. Needless to say too, even if you say, for example, too, they're like, oh, we should ban the company itself because they're Chinese out. Look what that shit happened with like TikTok. The ban only lasted for like 12 hours.
Okay, well, granted, TikTok is it's a weird phenomenon happening right now.
Fair enough. But oh,
Bless you.
but thank you. But needless to say, I don't think it'll be that shocking to see too that like people are honestly like, okay, if it does like in this case becomes like blacklisted too, a lot of people are just gonna save that data in their own place too, and they're just gonna rework it so that it doesn't do any of the stuff that they originally does. Maybe keep a lot of the old features.
I mean, good thing about if they do ban DeepSeek, it shouldn't be a problem because with an AI model, you can just run it on your own computer.
Yeah.
With TikTok,
So,
you can't technically do that, so that's why everyone's mad.
oh, fair enough. So, like I said, market is definitely overreacting to this shit too. Like you can even hear it somewhat in our own voice too that like this is just like ridiculous how people are freaking out about it. And if anything,
Absolutely.
you can hear us like we get kind of a little bit annoyed of using the DeepSeek R1 model itself. But there is potential value. Don't get us wrong with whenever we had our experiences with it. This could be definitely useful for like developers that want to train their AI models and they need to see how it's thinking or like how is it processing the information. Maybe that's also important to them as well.
Yeah, like I said, it's there's specific use cases for it. For normal consumers, I don't think it's a good thing,
Yeah.
but for developers or any other use case I can't think of, which is probably a lot,
Yeah.
it's probably good there.
Yeah. Like I said, and it's like, why do we see it as bad too? Because let's be honest too, who are these fucking chatbot or like these AI models? Like, who are they actually selling this shit to? Most of the time too, it's actually just users that are using the free version. So
Yeah, we're not saying that the AI model is. Oh, wait, well, technically it is bad. You guys saw it just kept thinking over and over.
yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, what we're saying is bad is using their web app in order to run these AI models, because that's just taking your data.
Mm-hmm. What we were when we were doing that demonstration, what we did was kind of showcase like just slight annoyance to the model itself too. But you could definitely see when I was showing casing like all the other stuff too, there was multiple language models that you can honestly use for yourself, whichever that you feel comfortable using. I think that's the nature of like open source. You can only use whatever you like in the end too.
Yes, use whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Hmm. So, needless to say, too, on behalf of the How to Trash podcast, is in this case Deepseek going to be the actual like destroys all of tech industry? Fuck no. If anything, it's
No.
people's over panicking is what will destroy it.
Yeah, DeepSeek is a good addition to the AI world.
Hmm.
I'll
I
give
think a
it
lot.
that. It's a good addition to open source community. I mean, anything added to the open source community is always welcomed, no matter what.
Hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see how this honestly plays out too, because I'm coining the term from Patrick Boyle here because he definitely described it the best too. The current rate that we're going at too, we are still in the embryonic stage of like this whole AI industry, similar to way how like the dot-com bubble like went out to. We have no idea like what's going to happen to which companies are going to rise or which ones are going to fall to. And it's like I think that is just the nature of like technology in itself too, like especially for cutting edge technology, because it's so new and volatile as well too. You're not going to expect like in this case OpenAI Labs like to last that long in the first place. I don't really expect for it to last that long too, especially some of like the weirder allegations against Sam Altman.
Hmm.
So needless to say, we'll
But
definitely
see,
have to
here's
see.
the weird thing. They came out with an AI model, and the whole world went on this whole AI craze. But in the end, we still got plenty of good AI models that we can use ourselves in our daily
Yeah,
lives. So it's not a bad thing that all of this happened. It's just, I guess it's just kind of bad how everyone's reacting to these new technologies.
yeah, because like I said too, or like what we have said multiple times, AI is nothing more than just a tool that we can use at our disposal. It's how we use that tool that can help shape our lives. But anyways, I feel like I said enough that I can at this point too. Is there anything lasting comments you want to throw out there?
Um, Not really. I guess you really just want to run these AI yourself.
Yeah,
Just do it. Just figure out. Just find that software where you can run it locally on your computer and just have fun with it.
yeah. Just do your best, do your research, and also
And
just
remember,
hmm.
and remember, if you second guess yourself when self-hosting, don't self-host.
Yeah, pretty much very sound advice. Don't do it unless you really want to. You don't want to second guess yourself. So, anyways, thank you all again for joining with the two mega nerds in this space right now.
Yes, thank
Let's
you for following our inner deep seek.
yeah, and also thank you all for tonight too. Have a wonderful day and happy Black History Month, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Evening, morning, afternoon, whatever, bro. I don't know.
자연스럽게 너의 집을 지나 애초에 걷지 말아야 했었던 길을 지나 다시 집으로 돌아오는 길 마치 뭔가 두고 온 듯해 노래 서너 곡쯤을 듣다 가보면 다 있겠지 돌아오는 길에 금방 너의 집